Oh, the story about my grandfather, that's only a story. He said that is the best stories, that which blend fact, fiction, and fantasy. Fact is that he is really my grandfather. He died at the age of 82. He was a merchant mariner, good-looking man. The fiction is that he was very rich, and the fantasy is that I inherited 10 million. How I wish. Okay, now I will tell you about the Philippines. And you may like this because you will like this because it has to do also with you. See the Philippines? You're here. We are, Malaysia, Indonesia, and the Philippines are part of the mega diversity countries. There are 17 countries in the world that hold almost all of the biological wealth on Earth. Malaysia, Indonesia, and the Philippines are part of that 17. We are so rich, yeah, see it there? That this is a page out of a book by Lawrence Heaney. It says it is reasonable to think of the Philippines as the Galapagos Islands multiplied tenfold. And you know who's bragging? It's not the Filipinos, it's the scientist from the University of Chicago Museum of Natural History. But look what we've done. This is how much our forests were in 1900. 100 years ago. 100 years ago divided by 4.5 billion years. That's 100 years. In 100 years, look what happened. Yeah, we did not scrape that to plant palm oil. We just scraped that to sell to the Japanese and to the Americans. Disappeared. Well, Roger was telling you about this case. I was a very young lawyer, much like many of you here. But you see, we only had 800,000 hectares left of virgin forest in the Philippines in 1988. But government, with all its wise stupidity, granted logging concessions to an area covering almost 4 million hectares. And I knew this. And I took it upon myself to say, well, I was a very young lawyer, almost 5 years out of law school. But I said, I'm not a lawyer, I am only a storyteller. My medium of telling a story is the law. I have to tell the story. So I filed a case in behalf of my son, because at the rate we were cutting them down at the rate of 120,000 hectares, my son, my eldest son, then was only 3 years old. At the rate we were cutting down, by the time he's 10, he won't see a single patch of forest. Like I did not see a single patch of forest when I was walking in this island here. I am from that island, Cebu. So, but the nice issue was that whether or not I filed the case, again, in the name of the children, acting on their own behalf and on behalf of generations unborn, saying that at the rate we're cutting down, they are the real parties in interest, because at the rate we're finishing it up, they will not see a forest, they will be affected, they will suffer irreversible damage and irreparable injury. Now the question was, do they have legal personality, as Roger was saying, do they have legal capacity to sue? Of course it was dismissed. Certainly it sounds very nice now, but it was dismissed outright. But then I never stopped, you see. When I want something, I believe in something, I went, a very young lawyer, I went all the way to the Supreme Court to question whether or not we had the right to tell the story. Fortunately, the Supreme Court said that they had the personality to sue on their own behalf, based on the concept of intergenerational responsibility. The responsibility of this generation to next generations to ensure that the sources of life remain intact. Well, the right to a balanced, healthful ecology, etc., etc. Can you read that, sir? Such a right?
Such a right concerns nothing less than the right to self-preservation and self-perpetuation, a right that may even be said to predate all governments and constitutions.
Miss, can you read that?
If they are now specially mentioned in the fundamental law of the land, it is because unless it is written in the Constitution itself.
Sir, can you read that? That one.
Not only for this generation.
Then the day will not be too far.
They will not too far when all else is lost.
Not only
And not only for this generation, but also succeeding generations. Generations which stand to inherit nothing but parched earth, incapable of sustaining life.
you know that was 20 years ago, my friends. It rang true then. It rings even more true now. And believe me, 20 years from now, when you guys are starting your lives, it will ring even truer, and I will show you scientific evidence shortly. But rich is our land base. Our sea is even richer. Look at this. This is a study by the UNFAO, Food and Agriculture Organization. They studied where is the richest marine waters on earth. This you will like to listen. They said, oh, it is in the coral triangle of influence. But specifically, the center is right here. The Sulu Sulawesi, the Indo-Malay Philippine archipelago. Yay! Look at that. Philippines, in Malaysia, across to Indonesia. But the lead scientist is this, Mr. Dr. Ken Carpenter, did further studies, and he said, where in this area is it richest in diversity? Discovered this. This is his line. The Philippines is the center of marine biodiversity on Earth. This is the study that he did. This red part here, especially this red part here. This is, I'll show you, this is the Visayan Sea. I'll show you in a little while. This is the Visayan Sea. But it is on the brink of collapse. Look at this. This is the Manila Bay. Have you all eaten? Have you all eaten? Okay. Because I will tell you what the story was of Manila Bay. For a body of water to be able to, you can swim and snorkel, it must only have 200 units of fecal coliform. I will not explain to you what fecal coliform is, you know what it means. But in 1990s, the fecal coliform count was almost 1 billion. So again, I wanted to tell a story. So in 1999, I filed a case against 12 national government agencies to compel them to clean up Manila Bay. This took 4 years of litigation in the trial court, another 3 years litigation in the Court of Appeals, and another 3 years ended up in the Supreme Court. Finally, I won in the Supreme Court after 10 years. That was in 2008. Is it cleaner now? Well, that was 2 years ago. It's a little bit cleaner now. Actually, my daughter, friend of Adrian, was there recently and saw people actually going fishing and actually catching fish. I wouldn't eat that fish. They're actually catching fish. So, this is a wholesale order. Now, why do I show this to you? Sir, can you read that? Ma'am, can you read that?
In the laws of nature, there is no right nor wrong. There are no rewards nor punishments. There are only consequences.
Yeah, when you cut down a tree, nobody cares. Maybe the government is sleeping, but the consequences will be there. Climate change is nothing more than the consequences of our violations of the laws of nature, accumulated violations of the laws of nature. Let me show this to you. This is a map of NASA, NASA. You can download that from nasa.gov. The hottest body of water is reflected here. Red and white. The hottest is white. That also corresponds to the highest rate of sea level rise. But I will not touch on that. I will touch on basic principles, basic laws of physics. When it's hot, when you have water that is hot all around, the evaporation is faster. There is more evaporation, there is greater condensation, and there is greater precipitation. Why is the floods, all these floods happening now? Because of this. Look at Australia. This is Queensland. I didn't make this up. Hey, look. This is Queensland. Are we wondering when the entire Queensland is flooded? It's now moving to Victoria. And that, my friends, is only the beginning. Look at this. Oh, you can see it too well. You can see it too well, so I won't show this to you. But look, Manila 2 years ago. Have you had this before? It's only the beginning. Before, you know, like Noah. But Noah did not base it on legal scientific evidence. Now, I am not Noah. I am only a lawyer, but I base it on scientific evidence. But people are not wired to think long term. We are wired to think only of today, maybe a little of tomorrow morning. We have flooding. And then 6 months later, we had this cracking soil. How stupid can we be? So again, after my case in the Supreme Court in Manila Bay, I said, I have to tell another story. Then I filed a case. Look, I was telling you 20 years from now, what kind of life we will live for you? This. And it's not an environmentalist talking. These are top economists of the world. Meeting in Davos right now. This was 2 years ago. Saying that the world is headed for water bankruptcy. It's not me talking. And then I found out we only had a law, after all, on rainwater catchment, on rainwater harvesting. So I filed another case, this time against 43,000 defendants, all of the villages, office of the president, all 2, 3 national government agencies, and all local government agencies in the Philippines. My hobby is to sue the government. Anybody read Chinese? What does that mean? What is that? Wait? You don't read Chinese?
Yeah, I can.
What is that?
Crisis.
Yeah, it's called Weiji.
Yes. Weiji.
Weiji. It's called crisis is danger, it is also opportunity. The crisis of climate change presents the greatest danger. It also presents to us the greatest opportunity to show that we human beings are indeed, as we claim to be, wise. I just quickly show you, I have a working formula. It says the conservation, protection, and restoration of the earth, also known as the cardiopulmonary resuscitation of the vital organs of life, is the product of 3 Ds: education, engineering, and enforcement. I decided to focus my work here, the Visayan Sea. I have a little house there. I have a little house that is my front yard. We're all invited there. Make friends with Adrian, because we will have a big party there on April 29 and 30. I see that hammock. I reserved one for Adrian, one for Roger, and then the other one for you, whoever is going. Yeah, powered by renewable energy. To teach by example, it is a physical demonstration of the working principles of sustainable living. Energy efficiency, we don't use this anymore. We don't even use CIEL. We use LED, which lasts forever, practically forever, 10,000, 15,000 hours. And at night, we turn off the lights. Why? So you can watch the stars. In the city now, you can't even see the stars anymore. You forget. And at night, we are meant to sleep. That's why it's dark. Because when it's dark, your pupils dilate, and then your adrenaline goes down, and then you feel relaxed, you go to sleep. You wake up when the sun rises.